Hello guys, seeing as I got good feedback on the last story, here's another story. But this is one along the lines of you know just a little bit of insight of the kind of work that I do. So this one in particular was an entity extraction. Kind of like if you would, I wouldn't say it was an exorcism, but we did extract someone. And we also brought back another piece of this person's self, which was very interesting. So it really starts off as she starts to explain to me where this energy had originated, or where she felt this energy originated from. And apparently it came from a family trip that she had taken when she was 10. This had followed her since she was 10 years old. They had visited a very old place somewhere in Italy, I think that's what she was saying, and that the effects of whatever was cast on her had a specific entity that would wreak havoc and also blocked her third eye, in the coming years for her work. She was a shaman, and she basically wanted me to see if I could go in and take this guy out. So I started off by getting myself relaxed, and I tuned in. And once I tuned in, I definitely got in contact with someone. He immediately stood in front of me. I was sitting on my bed, and he stood directly to the left side of my bed, actually. And upon appearing, I asked him what exactly his intentions were. And when I asked him what his intentions were, he didn't reply to me, but he took me to a certain area where he showed me a specific scene. And when I went into this scene, I saw a energetic representation of my client on a specific altar that had a crevices cut within it for the capture of liquids. This was more in particular for the capture of blood. And there were specific cuts and notches on the ends of this table that would also allow the capturing of blood to go into a gutter dropping point where it was all collected in a pool. And I noticed that there was a second entity that was standing to the left side of her. It would be the front, because I was behind the being that brought me there. So there were two. And I observed for a second to see exactly what was going on. And I told him, I'm here to extract you. We're taking you out now. There's no, you're not allowed here anymore. She's brought me here to bring you out, and you are leaving. It's along the lines of what I decided to tell him. And he didn't really want to go, so I decided to tune into his energy and force him there. I brought myself back into, my reality, into, the earth realm, where I decided to pick up my crystal and connect to him to pull him back. So he came back here. And when I pulled on his energy for him to come back, he screeched at me. And when he screeched, it was really loud, very, very, very piercing, pierced my eardrums. And he didn't really stop for quite some time. He continued to screech. So I sat for a second, then I took my crystal again. After I regained, my energy, I pulled on him, and once I pulled on him, I extracted him into a specific energy ball that I designated specifically for him. I told him that he's not allowed there, it's his time to go, and that if he resists more, the more we're going to pull on his energy. And, because I had cut his energy, I pulled on it more. We cut the ties between his connection between her and him. He's in this energetic ball, and then we decided to put him in a specific prism. Once we put him into this prism, we let him know, look, you can be set free of this, but you have to surrender to the energy of your new environment. He decided that that was not going to be the case, resisted more. So we, encapsulated him within this within this specific kind of prism. And we designated a specific place in the earth to place him. We placed him there. He was no longer. He screeched once more, but he was gone. His energy was gone. The overall energetic body of my client had changed. Her facial expression had changed as well. Even there was a lightening in her, in her auric field. Her aura became lighter as well in color. And after we extracted him, I decided that I was to go back and also sever the ties between the being who was doing the torture itself. So I pulled him there, and we did the exact same thing to him. He turned into a flock of crows that flew into the air and flew above my head. I took this as a sign of being directed to the third eye, to her third eye, and that I needed to do work on her third eye. So once we sent him down and we got rid of him from her energy field, I decided to connect to her third eye. I did a scan, and that's exactly where I needed to go. I noticed that there were 3 doors on her third eye. I had never seen anything like that before. So I connected to her third eye, and I saw these 3 doors, and they were like black smoke. I used my crystal, cut. I cut 2 doors, and then I cut the big one. The biggest one was gone. After I cut down these doors, I noticed that there was a big green eye, and this was her third eye. I had seen a third eye before, twice. Once one was mine, and also, one was another client of mine that I did a session on, and there was very interesting results from there as well. So the final step that I took to make sure that everything was okay, since I had her third eye open, I decided to go back and bring the energetic representation of her that was cut and bleeding. I convinced her to come back to my client to enter into her third eye. And we opened it up. I have a specific way that I did it. I opened it, brought her back in, and I visualized it closing once more. It was a specific area within her third eye that I visualized closing. So I spun it closed with my crystal. She walked in and she sat down. She sat in prayer position, and we closed it. And once we closed it, her vision apparently was improved a lot more. I also looked around her in her energy field, within her home, and I noticed that she had very strong ties to the archangels, more specifically Archangel Michael, because I saw a sword on the right side of her. There was a green sword there, and I noticed, I had noticed the sword, and I asked her, "Hey, is Archangel Michael one of your dominants?" And she said yes. Not to say that I work with the archangels, but I didn't know exactly who they were. I knew exactly who that was when he appeared and he showed himself after everything was all said and done. So I took it as a good sign that everything was clear and that my work there was done. Next day came, and I got a pretty beautiful message from her about the after effects of what we went through and what we did. And it went along the lines of pretty much showing that her third eye was now open. Clairvoyance was a very dominant ability that she had been working on, that she couldn't seem to have get access to, over years. And now it was open, and she was just so excited. She didn't really know what to say. It was really, really cool. This was a very cool experience, especially to see the energetic representation of herself within the vision, that fractal of herself that was gone, brought back into that specific area, and how she ended up connecting back into her whole energetic system. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. You guys have a good one.